just know that practice always makes it perfect, and always know that the practice and that repetition and that action and that way that you mold yourself into who you're supposed to be will give you that perfectionism. So practice makes perfect. Every time that you do something, it's not always going to come out the way that you want it to. It's not always going to be the exact thing that you're wanting to create, that you're wanting to manifest, that you're wanting to demonstrate to people. But sometimes when you keep doing it and you go and you progress and you just try to emulate your own example, you allow that self-expression of your divinity to be collected and to be initiated. So when you allow yourself to do that, don't be afraid to pull from your own inspirations, and understand that when you're doing it, not everybody's going to like it, not everybody's going to be a fan of it. Some people might critique it. Sometimes you got to be your own harshest critic, and sometimes you have to gather your will and you have to gather your presence. And sometimes when you feel as if you're doing something, knowing that it's not always going to be exactly what you want, but somebody is going to listen to it, and somebody's going to hear that video, and somebody's going to hear what you have to present, you know. So our words have power, our validity, our presence, our expression has a lot of power. So just understand that it always does have power, and it always has something to reconfigure. We have to go by our own design. We have to go by our own fluctuation of energy. So when you follow through on exactly what you want, you will find out that everything in your own reality is always morphing, is always changing, it's always generating, and it's always trying to decipher what is the next course of action. So sometimes we can have insistence on doing this one thing, but just practice at it. Just see what works for you. You know, and this is not with just meditation. This is with your abilities. This is with manifestation, visualization, and it could be many other aspects of life. But don't be afraid to keep doing it, to keep pursuing it, and to also just keep practicing it. Now, don't do it to your own detriment, because then that's insistence, and that's doing it to the point where you don't bring joy out of what you're doing. So I think sometimes when you're not bringing joy out of what you're doing, then that kind of eliminates everything that feels like good within what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. So base your accomplishment on not just the quantity, but the quality of your own work. So sometimes we can go and reach for effortlessness and perfectionism and having the end product being like perfect and there's nothing wrong with it. But at the end of the day, did it make you feel good doing it? I think that's the question.